Hey everyone, and welcome back to the most uninspiring YouTube channel. So if you could go ahead and leave a like and subscribe now from the beginning. I mean, the pedal itself is uninspiring, so we're gonna see what's gonna happen. It's the Boss DS-1? Yeah, the Boss DS-1, the distortion. And maybe that's the problem. It's called a distortion, right? And people are expecting a certain thing out of it. They're expecting something that a more modern pedal would have. These came out in '78. They were built for amps like this that had, non-master volumes, not a lot of gain on tap. You had to get them really loud to get them break up, and you needed to be able to push it over the edge. That's where this came from. It damn sure wasn't built for one of these. But we're gonna try that out too and see what happens. So the tone control on this, I'm noticing when I dial it up, it almost gets some of that HM2 kind of, just kind of grindy, nasty flavor to it. So it's definitely a very, very powerful EQ. And that's why people end up probably hating this pedal, because they're cranking the tone up, cranking the distortion up, cranking the level up. They're like, oh, it doesn't sound like a tight ass thrash metal album. It's probably not going to. So I think what we'll do is, I think it's really built for an amp like this. But we're going to try it into the clean channel of the EVH so you can hear that. We're going to try it into the AOR, which is kind of like an 800, so you could hear how it would work with something like that. And then we're going to spend most of the time on the LA30BL. So let's get right into it. First, we got to plug this motherfucker back in, right? Okay, so here we are. We are in the clean channel of the EVH. Sounds like this. Clean channel. We have the SD1 on. All the controls are at noon, and you get this. And that right there is why everybody hates this fucking pedal, right? So we're gonna see what we can do to make it sound a little better on this amp. Okay, so I've brought the level up to probably about 1 o'clock. I took the tone down to about 11 o'clock. Amp by itself. Need a lot more volume, right? All right, so now we have the level max. The tone is still about 10, 11 o'clock. And the gain is still about 1 o'clock. Gain's about 3/4 of the way up. That's pretty much everything I can say about the EVH. We're gonna go ahead and move to the Laney now. That's confusing. We're gonna move to the AOR now. So we're in the clean channel of the AOR now. It's pretty broken up. We're gonna kick the DS1 on. All the controls will be at noon. Same problem, right? Let's go ahead and turn the volume up. Go ahead and put the tone back at 10. Is it now about 2 o'clock? Not bad, but we're gonna go ahead and switch to the high sensitivity channel. Okay, so we're in the high sensitivity now. This is where things start getting a little bit more on par. This is the amp by itself. AC/DC type thing in C# standard. Turn the DS-1 on now. See, that's where this pedal really starts shining. On top of a crunchy amp, on a dirty amp. That's when it starts doing its thing. It's not tight like an SD-1. It's not quite like a Rat either, but it stays. That's the amp. DS-1. It still sounds like your amp, but it's more saturated, not tightened up. It's a little bit more like just like a blown out amp would sound like in the 70s. So that's kind of cool. Now we're just going to switch over to the Laney. The mini supergroup. Okay, so here we are with the LA30BL, the little mini supergroup. Not quite there, right? Like it needs a little bit more push. We have a lot of low end in this tone, so let's go ahead and put the SD-1 on everything at noon. Again, the DS-1, not the SD-1. DS-1. DS-1, man, at noon. It's on now. Not a whole lot of noise. That's what this pedal is made for. In my opinion, it's made for a vintagey, non-master volume amp that doesn't have quite enough gain itself to get you there, because that's when this pedal came out. This pedal came out in the 70s. There were no 5150s. There were no Engel Powerballs. There were no Mark V. That wasn't there. But an amp like this was that had almost enough gain. So now we're going to take the pedal and we're going to, we got the level now all the way up. We have the gain at like 2 and the tones at noon. And there's not a whole lot of noise. But let's see what we get tone-wise. We're gonna go ahead and move the control for the tone knob up a little bit because we haven't really fucked with that because it gets really trashy when you get it turned up. We're like 2 o'clock on the tone knob. You can almost hear that that kind of garagey HM2 thing happening. Let's crank the tone up. This is gonna be nasty. So I cranked the bass up on the amp to try and kind of counteract that, and it was fixing it somewhat. I re-EQ'd the amp a lot, and it's kind of working with it a little bit. I brought the presence down to 5, the bass to 8, mids are at 4, trebles at 5. Still not a tone I would use, but it's getting there. So we put the tone back to about 2 o'clock. Let's boost this with the SD-1. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take the gain on the amp. And bring it up. I fucking love that tone. We're setting the DS-1 more like a boost now. We're not doing that at all. Really like the pedal like that. Setting it as a pretty gainy boost with the tone pretty neutral and the level all the way up makes an amp like this and that AOR sound really cool. And I'm sorry I did such a long video on a DS-1, but I really wanted to show you it may not be the pedal, it may be your amp. It is not going to play well with the pedal. For example, those two, I like it boosting that, but I don't like it in the cleans, either one of those. But we're set pretty clean on the LA30BL, but it sounds good. It sounds good in a mix. There's a lot of definition to your notes. Volume knob rolls off. So what's the last thing to say about a DS-1? They're 50 bucks. Buy one. If it sucks, you're only out 50 bucks. Or maybe take your amp to the store and try it out, because It might work really good with your rig and it might sound like shit. But it's not as bad as people say it is. It sounds really good with this amp. I'll see you guys in the next video.